It's not always easy to hear.
Being that it's 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting in order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I've been asked to, like Carol was mentioning, everybody speak into their microphone and try to not have so much crosstalk, because I think Allison's gonna try to watch the meeting too, so,
More than usual.
yep. To write the minutes, so. Approval of the agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. Is there any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the previous board minutes from March 4th.
So move.
Okay, everybody's had a chance to look at those. Is there a second? Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Group session. Approval of the minutes from there. Any additions or corrections?
No.
So move.
Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public comment. Now is the time for anybody who would like to make a public comment to come before the board. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to appointments. We have none. We have a closed session today. We'll have moved that to the end of the meeting after our actions and discussion. Move on to the consent agenda. There's two items on the consent agenda: approval of the Vanguard Computer Systems service contract and guardianship contract with John Miller. Any questions on those? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to action item. Action item number 1, consider approving a zoning amendment for Chris and Wendy Horn from Ag Residential in La Crescent Township. Amelia. Morning.
So the planning commission met the end of February to review a couple proposals. One was this zoning amendment to the map, and as you stated, it's going from ag to residential. This property is adjacent to city limits, with Pine Creek being the boundary in that location. It's just as you head out of town on 25. Though it was a pretty straightforward proposal. The only thing, I guess, that was sort of unique in this one is that the way the property lines are currently drawn, there is a small parcel, which is part of this request, and then a larger, like 19-acre parcel. And they didn't want to rezone that whole 19-acre parcel, so they did have a surveyor come out and draw new property lines. And those weren't transferred in any way with the deed, so the residential district boundary will be different than the actual property boundary there. And so that survey was included in that board packet. It looks like on page 11, you can see it. It is just the, what is noted as parcel 1 and 2 on that survey that will be rezoned.
Probably gonna build on parcel 2, wasn't it? Maybe you thought maybe most of it would be on parcel 2?
Parcel 1.
What was the question, Greg?
Yeah, the house will kind of cover both.
Yeah, there was 2 parcels, and the house is gonna kinda be in both parcels.
Okay.
Correct, Amelia?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any further discussion? All All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, number 2, consider approving G-Cube text amendment to zoning ordinance for sections 27.3 and 27.8.
So I'll describe this, but I see that they're here as well if they wanted to, if you guys had other questions. So this is the first type of proposal, I think, in this respect. So G-Cube submitted a request to amend the text of our zoning ordinance, which is normally something that is just initiated by staff. And so we treated this just like any other public hearing. You'll see in the packet that the basis of their proposal was to add mineral extraction definitions and break them out into construction minerals and industrial minerals. And then if that happened, then they proposed to change the mine density standard, which is section 28.8 subdivision 1.5, and change that language to say new industrial mineral mining permits shall be limited to sites located no closer than a half mile from all existing permitted or legal non-conforming industrial mineral mines. And then measurements shall be taken from the proposed boundary of the new site to the approved boundary of the existing site. And the goal of this was so that we could open up potential sites for construction sand, but still maintain all of the limitations on those industrial sand mines, which is more geared towards the frac sands, and keep those regulations in place, but open it up so that we'd have the ability to potentially mine dairy bedding sand, septic sand, and other products like that. The Planning Commission didn't have, there were no public comment that day, and they recommended moving forward with everything as it was proposed.
So basically, we're just changing definitions of materials here to construction and industrial, right?
Correct, we didn't have either one of those definitions in there or even,
Before, yeah.
Yep.
So that's new, so
those will be additions.
we're just, yep.
And then there'll be just an edit to that 27.8 setback language.
But the half-mile setback will still be in place for industrial.
Correct.
Okay.
And all this is, Amelia, is just an amendment to the existing ordinances.
Yep.
Text amendment. yep.
We're actually just getting a little more detailed in how we regulate that. And to note too, what they proposed actually came from Winona County's ordinance, which has gone through some litigation. And it's similar to also what Fillmore County has in place. So we'll just be consistent with our neighbors as well.
It reads much more clearly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think it's kind of confusing when you don't know what's listed under each definition. Especially, the industrial minerals that are a greater concern, honestly, in my view. But I appreciate the clarification because I think that will help others understand where this lies.
So GQ brought this text amendment forward. They bring it forward for a certain property owner or a certain company? No?
Well, this isn't, there's projects, but this is is not tied to a specific property at this point.
Right, I get that.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Griffin with G-Cubed in Chatfield, and no, this is general for, our company represents all kinds of people, a lot of dairy farmers, people in the septic industry, and we just felt that your ordinance was a little outdated and felt that this would make it a lot easier for the dairy farmers and the people in septic to be able to potentially start an operation.
So we're trying to make it more conforming with neighboring counties?
Exactly right. And most importantly, we totally mimicked Winona County because their ordinance went all the way to the Supreme Court and they prevailed. And so we took word for word their language, just to make it easy.
Okay. All right, thank you for that.
Yep.
Any other questions on this? Is there a motion?
Move to approve the text amendment.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Yep, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Action item number 3, consider and awarding the airport T-hanger project to Olympic Builders contingent upon award of the state and federal funding. Brian and Jordan.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Yeah, so item number 3 and 4 kind of go hand in hand. Number 3 is to award the airport T-hanger project to Olympic Builders. So we bid out the T-hangers. We had 2 bids. Olympic Builders was the low bid with a total bid of $1,497,400. Our engineer's estimate was $1,539,000, so the low bid came in a little bit under the engineer's estimate. We went through the numbers and everything looks good on that front. This would be, we're anticipated to be funded 95% federal FAA funds, 2.5% state funding, 2.5% local funding. So the local funding for this T-hanger project is anticipated to be $40,960. And then item number 4 on the agenda would be to approve some entitlement transfer agreement with the city of Albert Lee. They have agreed to loan us some money. So if this is approved, the funding that's coming from the FAA using entitlement funds along with the transfer of city of Albert Lee's funds will give us the funding that we need to build the project.
So all that's contingent on the fact that we get our 95% funding.
Yep, the 95% and the 2.5% state funds. And we're hoping to get that answer on the federal funds this week. Now that the federal government has approved their funding bill extension.
FAA.
Yep, so FAA hasn't said, yep, we're good to go with essentially status quo at this point, but we do anticipate that to come out this week, so.
They come in at quite a bit less too. What do we figure, 1.6 or something like that for them T-hangers?
Yeah, 1.6 was the original estimate that we talked about. As things got a little bit more fine tuned, it was a little over 1.5 million, but they're still under that.
Have we worked with Olympic Builders before?
At Houston County, I have not worked with them here. I have worked with them with my prior job 20 years ago. So it's been a long time since I've worked with them. They did build the hangars over at Rushford. And I spoke with some people that were involved with that project, and they said they had some hiccups here and there, but overall, it was a good project. They made it through. There's no reason to not hire them and use them on our project. So
The 2% remaining amount, or 2.5%, whatever it was, did we budget for that?
yeah, I believe that's all in our budget.
That was in the budget.
Thank you.
There was actually more than 2 bidders for that, wasn't there?
No, ended up being 2 bidders. We had.
I thought Weezer's bid.
Yep, so Weezer was the second bidder. So we had, I think, I believe 12 or 14 bidders pulled plans. There was 4 primes in that, and ultimately 2 of them put bids in. The other primes decided not to put bids. So,
It says here Zinke.
you know what? This says Zinke Inc., but it's not Zinke.
I was gonna, I didn't think they built
Yep.
steel buildings. no.
Yep, that's not correct. That's Weezer's that put in the second bid.
Okay,
Weezer's was the 1.828.
so that's, yeah, you gotta change that to.
Yeah, so actually, if you look at the back page on the abstract, actually shows Olympic Builders and Weezer Brothers. So the cover sheet that came from
Okay,
Bolton and Mink was off.
Do we need, can we do the 2 in one, or do we gotta do each one?
gotta do
separate?
one at a time, gotta do this one first.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the T-hanger project.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
kind of a clarification, that's approval contingent upon state and federal funding.
Yep, that's gotta be in the motion, be in the motion. It's contingent on we get state and federal funding.
Got that, Carol, or you want me to redo it?
Just restate it, Greg.
I would like to have the airport team hangar project go forward with Olympic Builders, according to if we get the money for the federal funding.
And state,
State and
State and
federal.
federal.
okay?
I'll still second it.
All right, yep. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now we'll move on number 4 for the entitlement agreement with the city of Albert Lee.
Yeah, so this is the second part. So the city of Albert Lee has agreed to transfer $283,000 of entitlement funds to Houston County. We would pay $150,000 back to the city of Albert Lee by May 15th of 2026, and then the remaining $133,000 no later than May 15th of 2027. So what that gives us is we'll get the time to get the new entitlement funds from the FAA, and then we'll transfer that essentially immediately to City of Albert Lee. So this is a resolution that needs to be approved, and then there's some documents that I'll need to sign off on and get everything approved and submitted to the FAA for that. So the funding doesn't actually show up here and go back. It's just some paperwork that we need to submit to the FAA.
No interest.
No interest.
I'll make a motion to approve the federal entitlement agreement with the city of Albert Lee.
Motion,
Amount of $283,000 entitlement dollars.
motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Do we do this often?
What's that?
Does this happen often?
No.
No, usually what it is when there's a large airport project that'll happen. So this is the first time that Houston County's done it since I've been here. We have loaned money to City of Albert Lee previously, and we've also loaned money to the city of Winona
Oh,
for their
okay.
airports. So it is something that gets done. Several airports around the state each year, but for each individual county or city, it doesn't happen very often.
Okay, curious.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 5, consider approving work under the Minnesota DOT partnership to have Minnesota DOT stripe the Houston County roads. Brian.
Yeah, so for this one, I'd like to talk about kind of overall, we have five quotes and bids here in total that I'm asking to get approval of today. So within the packet, you should have a summary sheet that shows kind of how our funding lines up for this account and also for the revenue packet for our highway state aid maintenance money. So in 2025, we originally budgeted $2,079,026 coming to us in state aid maintenance money for the rural maintenance, so our regular maintenance. The actual amount that we're receiving is $2,269,626. So in total, we're getting $190,600 in additional revenue from the state for essentially the gas tax money coming to the county than what we budgeted. So that's $190,000 to the good. And then when we look at all 5 of these projects combined, we look at our county projects item, we originally budgeted 1.22 million, and these numbers come in at just under 1.2 million. So in total, our budget on the county project side is $21,581.12 less than what we budgeted. So again, that's to the good. And then we look at our road supplies, which one of the components of that is our bridge maintenance quotes. And within that bridge component, where we budgeted $125,000, the total of our bridge maintenance quote here, along with what we're anticipating to spend to do some deck sealing on some bridges with our own staff for the materials. We come in at $4,550 less than what we budgeted there. So in total, just so you know, as we get into this discussion, we have an increased revenue of a little over 190,000 more than what we budgeted, and our expenditures are 26,000 less than what we budgeted. So we have about a 216,000 of additional funds that either would go into fund balance if we don't spend it on some project here at additional project. Or we're gonna ask for a couple of these to overrun items if the board's willing to allow us to do that, so. This first item then for the MnDOT partnership agreement, we have had MnDOT striper roadways last summer. They did a really good job for us. And about half the counties in southeast Minnesota is having MnDOT's office out of Rochester stripe the roadways for them. They do a really good job. It's a lot easier to work with them sometimes than contractors, and budget-wise and timing, just everything worked really good for them. So that total estimated contract amount, $215,521.76. So what that'll get us is to stripe all of the center lines in the county and about 1/3 of the fog lines. The federal government at this point is, there's a big push on striping roadways. The reflectivity with vehicles have a lot more sensors in there, trying to keep the vehicles within the lane. 86% of serious crashes are happening on rural highways. Most of them are on 2-lane highways. 50% of them are lane departures. So we're trying to focus on that. We'll actually need to put a plan into place on reflectivity for our striping here that needs to be put into place by the middle of this next summer, or next fall. So what I'm gonna ask today is to not just approve this MnDOT stripe contract, but allow us to go 15% over on this quantity. It'll add about another $30,000 into this to be able to stripe almost half of our fog lines instead of at 1/3. So this will just be an overrunning quantity. There's no change that need to be made to this agreement itself. Ultimately, at the end, we would pay them for that additional quantity. So that's just a request where if the board is willing to allow us to overrun this and just to know it up front, I would put in the request to approve this contract and then also allow us to go 15% over.
Well, you were gonna do 1/3, now we can get a half done.
Yes, yeah. And some of the roadways that we would be able to get done by the extra 15% would be roadways that haven't been restriped since 2021. So it's roadways that haven't been striped in 4 years.
Do we have a figure for this or a number? It's just, we're going,
The MnDOT's contract is based on, there's lineal foot prices for both 4-inch latex is 0.92 cent or dollars per foot of 4-inch latex, 0.119 per foot for 6-inch latex. The total for the original numbers that we gave to MnDOT with the quantities came up to $215,521.76. So, yeah, so 15% above that would be about another 30,000.
So do we need a range or just the percentage?
the percentage, the 30% is what you're asking for, right?
15%.
I'm sorry, 15%. Geez, we don't do 30.
30,000.
Can that money come out of the 200,000+?
Yes.
I think it would be a good idea probably to try to get our roads striped if more than we could. Stretch that out a little bit.
Fog lines are key too.
Yep.
I'll make a motion then to go with striping with the Minnesota DOT
With the 15%.
with the 15% overage.
Yep. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
What would another 15% get us?
So the original contract, we were getting about 35%, well, this 15% is getting us about 12-13% additional miles. So another 15% would be
32,000.
another 30,000 will give us another, get us up to about 60 to 65%.
I feel like if we're gonna do it and we have them over here and we have the funding without going into taxpayers' pockets, that it would be something we should consider.
I dare say that, I'm just guessing here, but there's other uses you wanna use that overage for?
Actually, yeah, so I was gonna request that we go over on the maintenance rock by
Yeah,
20%, to put that up about 70,000.
yeah,
And the remainders I was gonna recommend approving as is, so that would leave us with a little over 100,000 untouched for potential overruns on, sometimes we overrun the oil on seal coating, depending on how much oil gets absorbed into that pavement, we put it down, and then just other unknowns throughout the year. So as we get into the summer, start doing construction projects or maintenance projects, there might be something that pops up. Maybe when you start doing some sloughing of a slope area in County 7 or something where it overruns our budget. So there was, 100,000+ that we were not gonna request to spend today. So we could go more, spend another 30,000, we still would have another 70,000+ untouched for overruns or unknowns.
be nice to have a cushion.
Yeah, so it's just how big of a cushion do we want that to have, so.
We do striping every year, don't we, pretty much?
We do.
Yeah, so we could, pop it up a little more next year and we could get them all done. I like the idea of spending more on rock,
Yep.
because we need rock.
We have a motion on the floor and seconded to
15%.
do the 15% overage for Minnesota DOT striping on our county roads. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Okay.
Number 6, consider accepting the low quote from Farner Asphalt Sealers for crack filling.
Yep, so we put out our quote for crack sealing. We received 2 bids this year. Farner Asphalt Sealers was the low bid for a total price of $118,250. Our estimate was $100,000, so this is 18% over our estimate. Crack sealing costs have increased dramatically over the last few years. I was hoping that the price would be, that our estimate was extremely high, and it ultimately ended up being low again. But it's something that I don't think we want to skip, because crack sealing, it does help keep that moisture out of the roadways and helps the roadways to stay together. So, this is one where we always approve it. We tell the contractor, in this case, it's 25,000 pounds. We will cut them off at that poundage. So, we pretty much will hit that pounds exactly. We don't go over, we don't go under. So my recommendation is to approve them, and that we will cut this one off right when they hit that poundage.
So you have, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it. What roads do you plan on doing this year? Do you have any idea? or
That
you
was my
just-
question.
Yeah, so.
I'm sure you've got a list that
Oh,
you,
yes, I was just trying to remember what roads ultimately made the cut. We had a list, I think we had, 6 or 7 roads in the quote with priority. So we told them exactly which road we were gonna do first, which was second, till we hit that limit. So, I just don't recall what he ultimately,
4 and 11.
21? I think you did that not too long ago, probably.
yeah, 21's not gonna be on the list, cause we're gonna repave that, so there's no reason
27, so you're not
to.
gonna, yeah.
Yeah,
I just noticed, because you guys did a bunch of crack filling on that,
a few years
it's
ago.
starting to crack again. But I was just wondering, just curious, when it warms up, will that stuff will it kind of fill back in the hot summer days? Or maybe not?
Actually, not really, because what happens is when it warms up, the pavement expands, so the cracks shrink, so it actually pushes them out more.
Okay.
And then in the winter, when it cools down, it gets sucked back
Yeah.
in, so.
All right. I just noticed that from I've been forced to walk on that road once in a while here every day, so.
There's a lot of cracks on that.
Is that what you did with
See a lot
10?
of cracks.
With County 10, is that what you put on there? That's really nice down there. That goes down through Sheldon all the way down to 76. What did you put on there? That
That's
was,
gotta be seal coat.
that was seal coat? Well, that made that road one heck of a nice road.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been crack sealed.
Yeah, I mean, last year, the main roads were, we did County 3 and some on 26. Part of 4 last year, yeah.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Number 7, considering accepting low quote from Icon Constructors for $105,450 for bridge maintenance.
Yeah, so this is another item where I'm gonna wanna have a contingent on the approval. So, this quote has, the total quote came back at $105,450. But the one bridge, Bridge 28532 is on Klondike Road in Crooked Creek Township. The township is gonna meet tonight, and they're gonna decide tonight if they want that work to be completed or not. The quote for that work is $20,000 exactly. So the county portion of this would be $85,450. I wanna, with it, which is within our budget, so my recommendation is to approve all of these, as quoted, for Icon, Constructors with contingent approval for Bridge 28532 for that Crooked Creek Township Bridge. So that way, if the township approves it tonight, they'll get it done with our work. If the township decides they don't want to spend that money, that'll ultimately be pulled out, and we'll sign the contract based on what the township does tonight.
So the township share is 20,000?
Yes.
I thought that was just for building bridges.
Well, this is because they're doing maintenance on a bridge and they have that full expense, and the quote came back this time exactly at 20,000 for this,
Oh.
this work, so. Yeah, it's one of those, items where it's always good to maintain bridges and spend that money to keep them, extend the life and stuff. But unlike a county project, when the township does it, they can get the full bridge replaced for 20,000 versus spending their own money to
I get that.
maintain it, so.
They have the right to decide the maintenance decisions on that.
Yep.
And they want how much from us to help out, you thinking?
It'll be nothing for us on that one bridge. It'll be, them fully. But they wanted us to include that bridge within our quote because we're quoting a bunch of other bridges. Mobilization's gonna be less if they can do it with our project instead of, having them come down just for their bridge. So they want it all combined into our,
Save some money.
yeah. But we don't wanna approve it just to, force them into doing it at this point.
Okay, so do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion for Icon Contractors in the amount of $105,450. Is that right?
Yep, contingent upon
Contingent upon,
township approval for that one bridge.
Freeburg Bridge?
Contingent upon Crooked Creek Township approval.
You said something about the amount as well.
Yep, $20,000 for Bridge 28532 on Klondike Road.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 8, consider accepting low quote from Scott Construction in the amount of $495,553.22 for seal coat.
Yep, so we received 4 bids for seal coating this year. Scott Construction was the low quote, or the low bid, $495,553.22. Our estimate was $495,959.73. So they came in a little under 100,000 less than our estimates. So we think we received a good bid from Scott Construction there. They do a lot of seal coating work for us, so it's not a surprise with how the number came in for them. This is one where we have a little bit less control over the actual amount or the dollar amount in the end used, depending on how much oil gets absorbed into the pavement as we go to put it down. So we estimate every year based on the condition of the roadway, but it's really tough to know until they start applying oil onto the roadway. You need to have the right embedment depth for the rock, otherwise the rock will start popping out, or you have too much oil and then you start getting into slippery spots on the roadway. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't overrun this quantity some when they go to construct it. We try to pinch that quantity down as tight as we can, and we try to keep that contractor from, they're in the business of selling oil. So we try to keep that down a little bit. So, but just wanted you to be aware that there is a potential to overrun on this, but overall, I do think it's a really good bid this year.
How many roads are you thinking about doing?
This will be doing all of the rural section of County 13, and then the County 4 from Spring Grove going north to about half of County 4, up to
To the hill or
just south of John Deere Drive. What's the?
when Yucatan?
Yucatan Town Hall?
Yeah, in the town hall area. What's that?
Yep.
That road that cuts out right up by that area.
That's Mooley Cooley, isn't it? Or no, that's John Deere Road. You're right.
Well, it's a little bit to the south of John Deere Road is where we're
Okay,
gonna
yeah.
go to.
I know what you mean.
East. I can't think of that one either.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept Scott Construction's bid of $495,553.22 for seal coating.
Is there a second?
Second.
You sure you want to keep making the motions here?
I kinda like to get done today.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Number 9, consider accepting low bid from Bruning Rock Products in the amount of $339,093.90 for maintenance rock.
Yep, so this is the final item that I'm asking for a motion on today, so, so this one, I would like to, award this project to Bruning Rock Products. We bid this out by the road, so, we look at each roadway individually, whichever, contractor is the low bid, that's what we usually award it to, so, we had 2 bidders this year. Bruning Rock Products was the low bid on every single roadway. So that makes it a little bit easier where we're just work with one contractor to put down rock on the roadways. So this is every single gravel roadway in the county that we have in here for rock. Some roadways we have a little bit more rock than others based on, or a little bit higher quantity per mile than other roadways, based on the need and condition of the roadway. I would like to overrun this quantity by 20%, so that'll get it up to about 70,000 additional rock on the roadways. So that keeps us within, well under our funding coming in with the extra revenue, gives us some flexibility on potential issues going forward in the year. 20% is kind of a key number within contracts, because if you get over that, then the contractor can start requesting negotiations to change the price of the bid. So now usually what happens when the quantity goes up, they'll say, yeah, we'll keep the price the same even if you go way over that. If you cut the quantity down, then they want to negotiate and make a higher price because they can, the contract allows it. So 20% is just the overrun quantity that we tell them, they provide it. The only thing that will change is they'll have more working days to get the product to put down. And then I'm gonna focus this year on making sure that not only is the rock done, but we also look at the roadways that are gonna have the potential gravel bike nationals on and get those roadways done
Early?
at the beginning end if we can, because I don't want to have marbles out there on the roadway come September that we have bicyclists flying off the roads and crashing all over the place. So, so that is going to be my focus, is to really get on Bruning and telling them to get out there, get it done.
How much of a lift you talking there on that amount?
Again, we're talking about
inch?
Yeah, yeah, real thin rock. I mean, we're going, a lot of our roadways is about 135 ton, 140 tons per mile. So, a mile of roadway, there's only, several dump trucks worth. So 20% on top of that is only getting an actual, 1 or 2 trucks per mile of roadways. So
But you're doing all of them, right?
we're doing them all.
You're doing them all.
Yep.
That's good. I think 20% would be good too.
Cause we do need rock.
I'll make a motion to accept that bid plus 20%.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Let's go, Gov.
Second?
I don't dare.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I have a question before you go. There's every year, I'm sure there's a whole list and there's a lot of work that's being done. Do we publish that somewhere so the public can understand what roads are gonna be affected? Do we put that on the website or how can we relay that information?
Yes, so we do update the website. It does get outdated at times, but we do try to at least show the major construction projects that we're gonna have going on, and then we have our anticipated minor. When we have stuff that's gonna be, every gravel roadway and stuff.
Right.
And we're only out there, it's a moving operation, goes quick, striping goes quick, so we don't publish that type of stuff. But we've anything that's gonna be bigger projects, we try to put that on the website.
Yeah,
so.
the routine, that's understandable. I like the spreadsheet or the list that you had with the latex striping spreadsheet, and you could tell where that's going to be. But just, anything that's major, it would be great to have that out there.
Okay,
Thanks.
yep, you're welcome.
How much was the rock per ton?
It was in the packet there.
I didn't see that, I guess.
Yep.
Sorry.
That was in a separate email, but
Yeah, so the,
good bid. I mean, compared to the next competitive bid there, it was pretty good price difference.
yeah, the cheapest roadways, ones that have, quarries right there, sets up a rock, those were at, $9 a ton, $8.999 per ton, so $9 per ton essentially. The most expensive roadway, would be County 32 at $11.44 per ton, 11.439, so,
That's an awful nice price.
yep.
Where's that one again? 32?
County 32, that's,
Down
just
near
outside
my
of town that
office.
has,
That should be better. It's by
Yeah, it
the
should be
rock,
cheaper,
right?
I would think, down there.
yep, yes, so that quarry is Milestone, so Milestone did
Oh,
bid.
that makes sense. There you go. Okay,
So,
yeah, that's true.
and
Forgot about that.
that was one of their cheapest bids for them because their quarries there, but for Bruning, it's a little distance for them to get their rock there from their quarries, so. But ultimately, Bruning's was still lower than Milestone's, so.
So we don't have to probably chloride that road then, since they ain't hauling no rock out of there.
That's a discussion.
They'll be hauling rock out of there, but it won't be for this
For the
project.
county.
Yeah,
Is that?
You seem a little angry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else?
that'll be it for me. Thank you.
You guys. Number 10, consider approving 2024 contract with Driftless Region Vector Control to canvass specifically identified Houston County communities for potential mosquito-related human health hazards and larvicide identified habitat sites. John.
So we're gonna go from rock to mosquitoes.
Yep.
This is a routine contract. Again, since we've got some new commissioners, I thought I'd have it on action. We're in an area that is prone to La Crosse encephalitis. And so as a result of that, we've had a small contract for mosquito abatement for many years. We've had this contract with Joseph Ritz for, I don't know, maybe 6 years. Prior to that, we worked with a different person for many years. Essentially, what it covers is the canvassing of specific identified areas, and then if they find habitat conducive to mosquitoes, they provide some insecticide or some sort of treatment for those areas. They work with landowners if they have tires or things that keep water, that are conducive to mosquito habitat, and it's been a good thing. We've done it for years. This year, it's a slight increase. He kind of has a slight increase each year. Last year, it was $100 more year over year. This year, it's $95 more year over year.
So like this is like junkyards and stuff like that that you monitor?
I don't know. He identified a few places, and I'm not familiar with that, what specifically they are. It's in your packet. Let me see here. I
A
have
lot
it
of
open.
bog areas and some different areas
Yeah.
I've seen, yeah, too, on that map. So this is actually on the ground resources as far as him going around or their team going around to eradicate this. It's not spraying.
It's not air applied.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Very concentrated to places that he's identified. It mentions,
Heights and Gulfview Drive, Hoka, Houston, Muddy Creek, and
yeah, outerly Crescent.
Wet areas, probably.
So the mosquito that carries the lacrosse strain of encephalitis is called the tree hole mosquito. They commonly lay their eggs in standing water in trees, tire rings, buckets, if it's upside down. In small children, it will cause, in some cases, permanent brain damage or death. In ones that have the damage to their brain in certain areas will more than likely cause epilepsy. And it is a lifelong thing. And the reason I know this is because it happened to my youngest daughter. And she has epilepsy because of it. So it is very important what you're doing to get rid of that mosquito. And I am 100% behind it.
Thank you for that context. You know, it's one of the many strategies we have with public health, and we're in a unique area here as it relates to lacrosse encephalitis.
Would you like to make the motion?
I will make the motion to have this taken care of.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, number 11, consider accepting donations of $1,200 from the American Legion Post 191 in support of public health car seat program.
I'm going to defer to Jordan and Bree on this. I'd like to take credit, but I really had nothing to do with it, but it's a very cool thing.
So you should let them that know
Yeah.
talk about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna defer to Bree, 'cause she's the runner on this, so.
It's all yours, Bree.
All right. So I went to the Legion in Caledonia last Tuesday because Myron actually approached me asking if we needed car seats. And so typically, each year we receive a grant of car seats from OTS, or Office of Traffic Safety. However, they kind of restructured this year, so the person who runs it is now with Public Safety. And anyways, we did not receive the same information we have in the past to get those car seats, and it's past that time frame we would get that. So in lieu of that, I went to the Legion and asked for funding for 20 car seats, which would be 10 convertible and 10 combination, so that's ranging all the way up to age 8 potentially, depending on their size. And the car seats are gonna be for the community members that fall in between the state health plans, so maybe they have medical assistance, but they haven't selected a specific plan, so they maybe have it as a secondary. Those are our primary target, because they need car seats too, but it's not just them. So if someone comes to public health and says, we really need a car seat, and it's just not in the budget for us, we can accommodate that with these seats. So they're gracious enough to give us $1,200, which gives us 20 seats.
Good deal.
It's really good.
How many seats do you go through in a year?
Last year I did 46 seats, and that's including the OTS seats. The year before that, it was 38. And this year I've only done 5 so far. But I'm a car seat tech and an instructor, so we do work with other agencies to educate for car seats. And we do more education than car seat distro sometimes, just depends.
So you educate on how to use them and properly and all that?
Yes, so every seat that we give to a family, they receive about 20 to 30 minutes of education. And we also offer the opportunity for us to assist in installing or for them to install it and then have us verify it's in there correctly. So it's a requirement to receive a car seat from us, is that they get an education.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I think it's important to clarify too, we do have car seats through some of our state healthcare plans, through the Blues and through UCare. And these seats as well, there's still eligibility requirements. It isn't something that's available for anybody. And while this is a very, we're very pleased with this donation, it's not enough to give everybody a seat.
No.
So,
But
Good
it's,
start. Nice. Absolutely.
what's that?
I'd like to give that to her. I'll explain this. We have a gambling, fund at the Caledonia Fire Department, and this
Okay.
is absolutely something that we would, because I work with that gambling fund. I'm gonna give you this information.
Okay.
Please contact us because I know we would donate to help get up to that level of seats where you've been using in the past, so if you don't mind, I'd like to give that to her.
Sure.
Sandy. One other thing about Myron Falcon, he's a community member who is a representative on our community or our public health advisory board. And so when we had discussions about this last week, he connected with Bree, and so shout out to Myron. It's also a really nice outcome of that community-based advisory board that we have on a quarterly basis.
Okay. So do we have a motion to accept the donation of $1,200 from the American Legion Post 191 in Caledonia, I believe, right?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you to the American Legion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Number 12, consider appointing Dean Hoppel to the Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term beginning in 2025 and ending in December 31st of 2027. Brent.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Last work session, you were given some applications for this open position. Dean did have the majority vote, and we did contact him just to let him know that he did have the majority vote for that position, and it's brought to the commission for approval.
Okay. Dean also serves on the Sheldon Township Board, so he's pretty well, he's been there a long time, so he'd be a good member to be on the BOA.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dean.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you. Number 13, consider a correction to confirm resignation retirement of Mary Betts, Houston County Recorder, effective end of the day, April 1st, 2025, with thanks for her 23 years of service to the residents of Houston County. This item was approved on the February 4th, but inadvertently left out of the minutes. So we might be able to backtrack. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll make a motion again
To accept her
to
resignation.
accept her resignation.
Motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same
I
sign.
think we should give her a round of applause. Long time.
Thank you, Mary.
Must be pretty sure of that if it came around again. No doubt.
Now, make sure it's the end of the day on April 1st.
April Fool's Day.
All right, number 14. Appoint Michelle Werner as the interim county recorder, C-43, Step 5, effective April 2nd, 2025, to complete the unexpired term of Mary Betts.
Yeah, so with the unfortunate retirement of Mary Betts, fortunate for her, I think unfortunate for the county, we do have that open position for recorder that needs to be filled in the interim. Michelle and I were talking, and she is interested and still interested in taking that on. Good thing about that chief recorder, the chief deputy recorder position, is that she also can perform the job of the recorder. And so there's gonna be very little, if any, training for her just to be able to step in and pick up where she was left off, so. Yeah, so we recommend her being appointed to the interim recorder.
I think Michelle would be a good person to fill that term. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to appoint Michelle Warner as our interim county recorder.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I'm just filling in case nobody else does here.
If not, is there, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thank you for stepping up.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 15, initiate a competitive search for a full-time chief deputy recorder.
So as the dominoes kind of fall in the recorder's office, we have now Michelle's position that has just came open. So we're looking at the commissioners to approve a competitive search to open that position so we can start looking to fill her position as well.
And it's been budgeted, so
I'll make that motion.
is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Number 16, consider reviewing and approving the payments. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. Is there any questions on those?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
So move.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, payments approved. We'll go move on to discussion items. Carol, administrator updates. You got anything you want to share with us today?
Okay.
Okay, nothing to bring forward. I do not either as board chairman. So Commissioner Wright, do you have anything you would like to share?
Let's see, last week I attended a SHAC meeting for Minnesota Public Health. It was actually a 6-hour meeting. It was a long meeting in St. Paul with the Commissioner of Minnesota Public Health. Interesting approach. We were actually working on, this is a group, the executive committee that has a representative from each region in the state. So it was good to sit and strategize, and we actually had some revisions to the strategic plan to build more of a publicly supported public health system together. So and talked about federal funding, state funding, anything else that's coming around. More specifics will be coming out soon. Let's see, what else did we have last week? That was probably the most significant meeting, we did have the advisory board for public health, as John mentioned earlier. And that's it's a great way to hear from people that are members of the public as well. And that's where the donation came up from the American Legion as well. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Zender?
Nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Schultz?
I'm good this week.
Commissioner Myrie?
Let's see. Oh, nothing to speak of. At town board elections on last Tuesday night. Other than that, not much.
Okay, yep. And from what I understand, the elections went smoothly, so no issues? Yep. Good deal, thank you.
Ballots a couple places, huh? They had to make some more ballots out there, huh? Yeah, Wilmington, yeah, they were short 25, I think.
Okay. Is there any closing public comment? Okay, if not, we'll go to closed session for Minnesota statute 13D03 pursuant to sections 179A1 to 179A25. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Back and open.
Carol, you want to just announce that we're out of closed session?
The board met in closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.03 subdivision 1B to discuss labor negotiations, including negotiation strategies or developments or discussion and review of labor negotiation proposals conducted pursuant to sections 179A.01 to 179A.25. No action will be taken following the closed session.
Okay. Now,
This relates to something that Greg brings up once in a while about the jail, as far as the capacity and, you know, anyone that we have working in the sheriff's office. Do we have, or do law enforcement look at, like, how they spend their time? Like, I mean, I'm curious, because if this, and I'm just thinking ahead, and I appreciate you doing all this work, because this is planning. You know, it's a strategy for future negotiations and all that, and it's good. But I'm curious if we have so many deputies, so many sergeants, and when they have proposals for adding on staff, because that could come next if they think, you know, there's not ample wage for what they're doing. Because a lot of times professions, you know, or offices will say, well, we're spending 50% of our time on this, we're spending 20% of our time on this. Do law enforcement ever break that down? That might be a question, I guess, for Sheriff Swedberg when I talk to
That would be
him.
really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Would it? Okay. So,
Would the sheriff have to?
I mean, so how do they determine, because I'm curious when you guys are talking about the structure change, you know, so you got rid of lieutenants or sergeants and then added lieutenants. How do you determine that? Is that by workload?
I think that one in particular was on.
Well, oh, yeah, you said
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
And
political
For
thing.
who and who didn't?
Yeah,
And there's a cost component to that too,
which
you know.
shouldn't be done either, but that's.
Could be the
another
same for you, like how it was in Iowa, and we talked about this as why we added a sergeant, and he picked what he wanted. It could have been assistant chief, captain, lieutenant, blah, 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 anything he wanted. This came up with chiefs, and particularly when I was a chief in Good Thunder, is if I'm not there and you have a patrolman working, and he makes a decision, and he goes with it, and they're like, where's your supervisor for this decision? I'll use a high-speed chase, for instance. Our policy states that a supervisor has to be involved with a high-speed chase to terminate, and I could be on the phone for that or on the radio, it doesn't matter, or Sergeant Stemper. That being said, the patrolman said, I don't have a supervisor, so I did the best I could, and they're gonna come back, and they have come back and said, where's your supervisor? when this patrolman, he's responsible to be a patrolman, where's the person that's in charge of supervising him? And so that became a sticking point, is to, if you are, in my case, a 6, 7-man department, department, when you're not around and I'm on vacation in Texas or Florida, who's in charge of my people? So is there somebody that's been to supervisor school, supervisor training, make those decisions based off when the chief's not there?
Okay.
That's where you get your hierarchy of structure. It does same in litigation and lawsuits.
Maybe we won't put this.
Because if the sergeant screws up, that's now on supervision.
Okay, that's good to understand.
I don't know how you guys did it in Iowa. Same.
In, you know, in terms of the jail, we're required by DOC to have certain number on.
That's your
duty,
hierarchy.
Okay, yeah,
Because we have, you know. we
Certain
have
level,
30
yep.
prisoners, so you need to have that.
yeah,
We're still in session.
okay.
Okay, I have nothing else.
Thank you.
Are we adjourned?
We have a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Come on, Bob, say something. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign. Thank you.
Was that Kurt